Hey now, what's going on with y'all, black people and non-black people out there? Welcome to the Tuesday edition of Burn It Down with Kim Brown, the place where we set oppression ablaze, god damn it, with kerosene and long matches and Molotovs. And we know, god damn it, that something better can arise from the ashes because something has to, right? I'd like to welcome everybody to the program today. Of course, it is your host, Kim Brown, with a half-done twist out. Y'all wouldn't have it any other way. Of course, I washed my hair this morning, and of course, my hair is wet as a mother. So that's why I took out the dry ones, and that's why. But anyway, guys, we have a really, really great show for you in store today. Coming up a little later in the program. First of all, we got so much to get to. But later on in the show, I want to talk about this groundbreaking Supreme Court decision as it pertains to collegiate athletes and why this is important, because all these big schools and colleges and universities make hundreds of millions, if not billions of dollars off primarily black athletes, black student athletes, right? Which is a bullshit term to begin with. Chuck Modiano is going to join us later on in the program to talk about that 9-0 Supreme Court decision and what it means, y'all, for these student athletes to possibly get off the plantation. The fact that the colleges and the NCAA may have to come up off of some Skrilla or some way to figure out to pay these young people because they've been exploiting the shit out of their labor, their bodies, their injuries, their name, their likeness, their imaging, everything for entirely too long. So it's not all the way in the clear that the kids are going to get some money. But for the first time, it looks as though that door might be creaking open just a little bit. So join us when Chuck Modiano comes on the show in the second half of the program. We're also going to get into, this is not going to be a whole sports show, y'all, but sports was kind of a big deal over the weekend. And tragically, I cannot tell y'all anything about the NBA playoffs. My bad. There are other places y'all can go for that. But I wanted to talk about how, y'all, black women, Black American women specifically, are going to run things in the Olympics. I'm talking about in the swimming pool, on the track and field joint. Where else is black women smacking people at? Even though Naomi Osaka is going to play for Japan during this Olympics, we claiming Naomi Osaka too. So we're going to take a peek at some of the incredible black women who are going to be going to Tokyo and some of the stories behind these amazing performances that you saw in the Olympic trials over the weekend. Also, y'all, last week, y'all's boy, Joe Biden went out of town, right? And I didn't talk about it last week because there was other way more important shit to get into. But Joe Biden went out of town. He met with the other leaders of the G7, all these other hopefully declining and failing empires, and they all commiserated like, oh, man, everybody hates us back home. Anyway, he had a very big meeting with Vladimir Putin, again, just the cornerstone of American media propaganda, right? U.S. versus Russia. Putin, I'm sure, didn't give a fuck, right? But Joe Biden had to go in there and look like the tough old grandpa. All right, cuz whatever. But he said something pretty funny about meddling in elections. And it was such an outrageous sort of statement. There's no way we can just let that pass uncommented upon. So we will get to Joe Biden being Joe Biden in just a moment. But listen, before we get into the program, do me a favor. Wait. Hold on. Let me get to the chat real quick. Let me see we got up in here. I saw we had Chuck Diesel up in here real early. What's up, Chuck? Appreciate you as always. What's up, Anna Hart? What's up, Natalie M? Sugar Bugger, Radical Leftist Agenda. Hey, guys, don't forget, what's up, Kev 24/7? We got Patreon opportunities available for you. Please, if you haven't already, sign up to be a patron. You can do so at patreon.com/BIDWKB. Again, we have tiers for the low, $2, get you in. But I think our highest tier is $20. You get me singing songs to you before the show. Oh, and I think we're going to do an AMA on Friday. So I'll be sure to put up a post on Patreon about that. Because what I want, how I would like the AMA to go is that beforehand, like some point during this week, if you're already a patron, you can post your questions under the AMA post, and I can start off the AMA by answering those questions, but we be live on YouTube like we are here, and then people, we could chat it up, whatever, and do it like that. So patreon.com/BIDWKB, get in on this Friday's AMA with your girl. What's up, Rain DeSud? I see you up in here. We have somebody with a long name. I can't pronounce that joint. What's up, Northern Witch? What's up, Luke Kang? What's up, Afraid Not? Everybody's in here. Alicia, hello. I'm so happy. Okay, guys. Well, since everyone's here, everyone knows what in the hell we've been talking about for a number of weeks here on Burn It Down with Kim Brown. And like I said on the pre-show, actually, Richie Serchenko was here on Friday, and Richie and People's City Council have been in the Los Angeles County Sheriff Alex Villanueva's shit, been in his literal shit. You saw the clip from Friday. Richie jumped right in his shit out there on the boardwalk at Venice as the Los Angeles Sheriff's Department is issuing citations to unhoused people who are living in tents if they are in their tent during business hours on the Venice boardwalk. So while California is experiencing a tremendous heat wave, the Los Angeles Sheriff's Department, the best they can do is issue already unhoused and poor people citations simply for trying to exist in a tent on the beach. But over the weekend, something kind of cool happened, a cool kind of action that definitely got the police's attention. So I want you guys to take a look at this clip because I dug the shit. Now, this is where in our title, Google LASD gangs, Google Los Angeles Sheriff's Department gangs. If you happen to see that floating around your timeline on social media over the weekend, this is the reason why. Tunde, if we could look at that clip, please. Now, that footage was shot by independent journalist Vishal Singh out in Los Angeles. So what you saw there was somebody unfurling a banner that said Google LASD gangs. And that wasn't the only banner. I believe a total of 4 of these banners were unfurled at bridges and overpasses in different places around the Los Angeles County area. Now, what you saw in that clip was not only the sign being unfurled or the banner, but the police response, right? the cop said, wait a second, we have to do an investigation. So according to the Twitter poster there, Vishal Singh said that it appeared to him as though police were there trying to gather evidence. So the issue of free speech is not necessarily free, especially when you're being critical of a very powerful, influential, and very heavily funded and resourced police department like the Los Angeles Sheriff's Department, which is, again, why I cannot overstate the work that people like Sharice Castle is out there doing. Speaking of, listen, Google Los Angeles Sheriff's Department gangs, Sharice Castle shit is going to be the first to pop up there. And if you guys have not read her series, please go do so. And actually go follow Sharice on social media if you can. I wanted to take some clips from Sharice's timeline as well from over the weekend, but my docket just got a little full. But go to Sharice's timeline. She was out at actions marking the 1-year anniversary of the murder of Andres Guardado, where it is suspected that members of the Los Angeles Sheriff's Department were trying to get gang tats to join the executioners. That's the name of their little gang. That's one of over a dozen gangs in Los Angeles. That's just in the Sheriff's Department, right? Go to Sharice's page, you guys. She had some amazing stuff up there as well. But again, the work that Sharice does, the work that Richie Sergenko does, I mean, they get in these motherfuckers' faces, and that shit is dangerous, okay? Because these motherfuckers is terrible, okay? But I can appreciate that action out there in Los Angeles because it's bringing awareness, a term that I am quite frankly a little tired of. But I think when people honestly don't know or have a hard time conceiving, right? Not the people in the communities, the people in the communities who are being terrorized by police violence daily. They absolutely, it's absolutely not out of the scale of probability that there are numerous gangs in the Los Angeles Sheriff's Department. However, people who still have a favorable view of the police have a hard time digesting that kind of stuff, right? Because the propaganda is so strong. The propaganda just permeates every part of American society. So people who are not being terrorized police sort of have a default predisposition to liking the police or wanting to understand the police's side. No, fuck that shit. Fuck that shit. There was another part I was going to say to that, but I forgot. What's up, Big Teal? Big Teal said, yes, the police are the original gangs of America. Man, listen. Gangs in New York? No, it was gangs of polices. That is correct. Speaking of police, let me give you guys another update. Now, this I'm not sure necessarily qualifies as an update per se. I just thought it was something cheeky yet accurate. About one of our favorite people, actually one of y'all's favorite people, because y'all voted for Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. I know y'all did. Vice President Kamala Harris. Well, we had seized upon her comments from about a week or two ago while she was in Guatemala, when she stood up there and told the Guatemalan people to their face, do not come to America. If you come, you're going to be turned around. This also comes as World Refugee Day was yesterday, and Secretary of State Antony Blinken had the audacity to post on his Twitter page about how his family escaped the pogroms of Eastern Europe. They escaped the violence that was plaguing their nation, and these motherfuckers had the audacity to put up something about World Refugee Day as Kamala Harris told them people to stay home. Well, Kamala always did not feel that way. Did y'all know that? Did y'all know that Kamala has apparently changed her stance about refugees coming to the United States, particularly people coming from Central America? She used to have a different attitude. Now, I'm saying this, being sarcastic as fuck. I know y'all can appreciate that. What's up, Tasia? Hold on. What's up, Tasia? Tasia just dropped us some bucks. Wait, let me read Tasia. Tasia got something to say. This is important. Hold on. Tasia says, we took my dear friend Sharon's ashes. Oh, I'm so sorry. To her favorite spot last week. She was a kind and very intelligent woman. She would have enjoyed your show. Thank you. Oh, Tasia, that is so very nice of you to say. I'm sorry to hear that you lost your friend. Our condolences are with you and Sharon's family. I'm very sorry to hear that. Well, next time you go visit Sharon, if you took her ashes somewhere, bring a speaker along and play the show for her. She probably enjoy it. And I'm saying that I'm being somewhat facetious, but I say that because there's a cemetery nearby where I walk my dog, and I always I always take my phone and I always point it in the direction of the cemetery. I'm like, hey, what's up, y'all? Y'all need to check this shit out. This is that Bob Marley. He's wake you up. So I always, do goofy stuff like that. So I'm not trying to make light of your friend's passing, Tasia. I'm so sorry to hear that, but thank you so much for your support. And I'm sorry to Sharon's family. What was it talking about? Yes, y'all girl, Kamala. Ooh. Look at this clip, y'all. Look at this montage of Kamala. This is about 2 minutes and some change. So if Kamala Harris's voice is something that you do not find soothing, well, then just let me give you a tiny trigger warning for that. It's about 2 minutes of Kamala lying. I don't know. Was she lying then? Is she lying now? Well, I guess she's not lying now, because now she has the actual power, I suppose, or she is in a position allegedly of power. And now that she's in a position of power, she's telling people not to come to America, despite the fact that you are fleeing violence, rape, murder, gang violence, poverty, climate catastrophe. She don't care. She says stay home, but that's not what she was saying when she was on the campaign trail. Tune in, let's take a look at that.
People who are fleeing murder capitals of the world. There are children who are fleeing murder capitals of the world, who have fled most of them murder capitals of the world. We have families that are fleeing murder capitals of the world. A mother who pays a coyote. Imagine a mother who makes a decision to pay a coyote. When a mother pays a coyote, often through a caravan with a coyote even, to transport her child through their country of origin, through the entire country of Mexico, of traveling through the entire country of Mexico, to transport her child across the entire country of Mexico, through the entire country of Mexico. It was safer for them to take that trek through Mexico, facing unknown peril, facing unknown peril, facing unknown peril in what they know could be a perilous journey. We have always presented ourselves as being a nation of strength with strong arms, the strong arms of America. Part of the strength of our nation is supposed to be that we have strong arms, that when people are fleeing harm, we will embrace them, which will embrace and protect anyone fleeing or facing harm. Should be here to receive anyone who is fleeing harm.
I want to be clear to folks in this region who are thinking about making that dangerous trek to the United States-Mexico border. Do not come. Do not come.
But what does Donald Trump do? But what does this president do? He virtually looks at those children and says, go back to where you came from. Not to flick them away and say, go back to where you came from. And that's the kind of policy we've had from this administration. He says, go back to where you came from. That is not reflective of our America and our values, and it's got to end.
And I believe if you come to our border, you will be turned back. If you come to our border, you will be turned back.
That is not reflective of our values or our America. Oh, no, bitch. It's exactly reflective. It is. That's the thing. Trump, I can't even say Trump used to say it in the loud part, the quiet part out loud. No, Trump was saying the shit in the same way that it has always been said, except he was saying it way meaner, right? What is the difference between Donald Trump's messaging to undocumented people trying to come to the southern border versus the Biden administration's messaging, right? The outcome is still the same, right? The impact is still the same. And I need y'all to remind y'all faithful Democratic friends and family of these very points often and repeatedly, okay? Y'all, we have no friends in politics. Swear to God, like at least not national politics, none. And people like Kamala Harris are the worst examples of progressivism, right? Or of people ascending, they made it. Like Kamala Harris talked all that shit on the campaign trail about how terrible, legitimately, yes, awful it is for people traveling up Central America through Mexico trying to get to the southern border. It's awful. And somehow, did it become less awful after Joe Biden got elected? Or her position changed? Or she is absolutely towing the American government line, right? We full. When actually we are not full. I welcome undocumented people. I welcome immigrants. The more the merrier. Making our menus spicy as hell. I love it. Please keep making this bland ass country more spicy. Come on in as much as you can, right? And Kamala Harris was out there giving people false information, right? People who are seeking or fleeing their countries, their home countries for seeking asylum or for refugee. If you can get here, they supposed to let you in, period, point blank. And for the Biden administration to continue the Donald Trump policies of denying people, of making them wait in Mexico until their claim is processed, what kind of shit is that? What's up, Jonathan Guerrero? That's correct. No one is undocumented on stolen land. Thank you so much for that. I stand corrected. You are correct about that. No one is undocumented on stolen land. All these Europeans, all the Europeans came over here and stole it all. And they're going to try to make people get visas and shit to travel lands that their ancestors have been on for thousands of years. Make it make sense. Make it make some sense. Well, speaking of not making no sense and the awfulness of the Biden administration, let's stay on this same topic because, you know, if we can kick Kamala around, you know, we got some stomps in us for Joe Biden. Now, Joe Biden doesn't need to do much to embarrass himself. And I don't like to harp upon Joe Biden's clear diminishment mentally because it's obvious, and I think it's mean to harp upon that, even though I think Joe Biden is a horrible person, a terrible piece of shit. He will probably be remembered as one of the worst presidents if he even serves a full term. But Joe Biden had to show up at the G7 because America's international reputation is in tatters after the Trump administration. Again, America's reputation is in tatters to whom? Exactly, because America's reputation is in tatters, period. Pre-Trump, post-Trump, everybody knows what kind of time it is with America. We are a country of big capitalist dummies. This country is so not intelligent and so dedicated to capitalism, even if it's screwing individuals over. Like, it's so wild to me to hear poor people like go out of their way to talk about, oh, if I can start a business. If you can start a business, how you gonna eat? Don't you need to wash? Don't worry about starting a business, man. That's the least of your concerns right now. Anyway, Joe Biden was over in so he and that nigga Putin, they met in Switzerland, but the G7 was in England. And yes, they had all these nauseating photo ops of the Bidens with the royal family and the Bidens with it's like, all right, y'all. I get really tired of all this Anglo-American incestuous kind of, you know, portrayals. Anyway, this is what Joe Biden had to say when he was asked about dealing with President Trump and dealing with Russian interference in American elections. And he had the most audacious answer, the most ahistorical answer, and the most expected, typical, on-brand answer for an American president who is their job to ignore America's terrible recent past when it comes to fucking with other countries and their democracy. Tunde, can we take a look at that, please?
His credibility worldwide shrinks. Let's get this straight. How would it be if the United States were viewed by the rest of the world as interfering with the elections directly of other countries and everybody knew it? What would it be like if we engaged in activities that he is engaged in? It diminishes the standing of a country that is desperately trying to make sure it maintains its standing as a major world power. And so it's not just what I do, it's what the actions that other countries take, in this case Russia, that are contrary to international norms. It's the price they pay. They are not able to dictate what happens in the world. There are other nations of significant consequence, i.e. the United States of America being one of them.
Now, guys, I've seen that clip, let's say 5 times. And every time I've seen that clip, it does not fail to make me laugh. Who does Joe Biden think that he's talking to? Well, first of all, clearly he was addressing a press corps there who perhaps may have been uninterested in pressing the president about very easily provable facts of the United States demonstrably interfering in people's elections recently, not even long time ago. Today, if you could please pop up that graphic of just how the United States has interfered in Latin America, not even the Caribbean, not even in Africa, but just in Latin America. Now, guys, I want y'all to take a look at this. And actually today, I might ask you to take that full screen so everybody can get a very clear look at this. And I believe this was the good people. I can't read that in the corner. What does that say? Libertarian? I don't know if it's libertarian. I could read it a little while ago. I can't read it now. Anyway, and I don't even think that number 56 is a accurate number even at this point. But there are numerous. Hold on, let me pull up this graphic myself on my phone so I can read it to y'all, because the United States even recently, remember, we had backed Juan Guaidó as the president of Venezuela, despite the fact that he was not the president of Venezuela. Hugo Chavez, also of Venezuela, alleged that there were numerous attempts on his life. Hugo Chavez died, y'all. Despite the fact that he allegedly had cancer, he believed that the United States in some way gave him the cancer. And let's not act like they probably did not. Cuba, how many times has America ran up in Cuba? How often is America trying to keep Cuba? Wait. Well, yeah, I guess we count Cuba as Latin America. Fuck it. All right, Cuba's Latin America for this purpose. But hell, even let's go into the Caribbean, Haiti, Grenada, and up and down South and Central America, Nicaragua, Guatemala, Honduras, Chile, Bolivia, Ecuador, everywhere, baby, everywhere. Y'all find that graphic wherever it's located online, but you don't even have to do all of that. You can just let your fingers do the Googling. The United States, this is our modus operandi. Aside from the fact of us selling arms and selling war globally to anybody, to the highest bidder, we will sell weapons to anyone. Destabilizing democracies is exactly what America does. So, and Joe Biden, having been a principal agent in this government for these past 40 to 50 years, he knows that. But they are so committed to this false propaganda war between us and Russia. And I need y'all, I need Black people especially to don't be falling for this shit, man. Let me explain. Now, I don't know what the Russian word for Niger is. I know they got one, but I don't know what it is. But my point is, Russia is not the ones oppressing Black people. It is not Vladimir Putin's KGB that is over here kidnapping, shooting Black people and getting away with it. So to point Russia out as our enemy, well, no, Russia might be enemy of the state. Russia's not my enemy personally. So we have to not fall for these simpleton setups, right, as they work, because these people are not necessarily our enemies. Vladimir Putin is not my enemy per se. And I'm not a Russian bot or any of that shit. I even told y'all, I used to work for Russian media. I'll tell y'all in a second, paid nice rubles. They did pay nice rubles. But I don't need to shield for Vladimir Putin. He also a piece of shit, okay? He's a different type of piece of shit than Joe Biden, a piece of shit nonetheless, right? Putin is still terrible. All these white strong men out here is terrible. Name me one good one. That's why Emmanuel Macron got slapped in the face the other day for being shitty. Guys, but here's my question. I mean, how come? Actually, that's not true. I did see it once, and this was during this administration, where I think it was Jen Psaki, the press secretary for the Biden administration, was in the stateroom or whatever the fuck they hold the press conferences, and she said something about how the United States always upholds democracy in Latin countries and we don't support regime change or anything like that. And someone did press her on that, but it was sort of short-lived. And I don't necessarily understand why the United States press corps does not ask such questions to the Biden administration, especially when, at least I remember some of the conservative media when Obama was president. I mean, they would kind of push Obama on some of these, imperialist actions, and Obama would have to, come up with an answer, but that should seem to kind of go away, right? Or if Trump had been pressed, he would shut people down and kick people out of the press room or just ignore them or whatever. So I don't know. Like I get really exhausted of hearing this American exceptionalist lie, like told over and over and over again. And it's like, at some point, I'm not even sure who this lie is even for. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. Like who's being swayed by this at this point in the year 2021? I'm not really sure. Hold on, let me get back to the chat. You guys, I'm about to switch this gear. We about to go from second to third, or are we in third now? No, I think we're still in second. Guys, I wanted to switch real quick over to some good news in terms of Black women, especially doing amazing things out here in the sports world. Of course, we took a focus on Simone Biles a couple of weeks ago, and Serena and Naomi, by the way. Oh, awesome. Chuck is standing by. So actually, fuck it. Let's bring Chuck in on this because Chuck can talk about some of these performances too. Because Black women just showed all the way out. Guys, I want to welcome friend of the show, justice journalist and writer for Deadspin, Chuck Modiano is joining us today. I'm so happy to see Chuck's smiling face. Hi, Chuck. How are you?
Great to be here. I cannot think of a better introduction than fuck it. Let's bring in Chuck. I love it.
Chuck, I mean, come on. It's
I love it. I love it. I love it.
Well, good. Well, Chuck, okay, so Chuck is here, you guys, because, you know, there was a big Supreme Court decision where even the conservative justices agreed that the NCAA was sort of operating as a cartel by not paying student athletes. And I want us to get to that in just a moment. But Chuck, I know you are big into sports. If you follow Chuck Modiano on Twitter, Chuck is on the sports. He's on all the sports. He's reporting and tweeting about all the sports. And Chuck, you know, over the weekend, Black women showed out at these U.S. Olympic trials. It was wonderful. The first one I want to show y'all has to do with the young sister. Hold on. What her name is? Simone Manuel. And Simone Manuel has already medaled in the Olympics. She was the first Black American woman. She might have been the first Black woman ever to get a medal in swimming. Chuck Modiano, correct me if you know the right answer about that. But I'm
going to roll with what you're saying. Yes.
Let's roll with that. But guys, I want y'all to check this out because Simone Manuel, just her presence in the pool does so much. I'm so easily reminded of our foremothers and forefathers, our ancestors who during, you know, the 1940s, 50s, and 60s were trying to desegregate pools. I'm struck with that image of the Black family in the pool, and there's a white man pouring like a chemical into the pool while they're in there. So for Simone Manuel to get in this pool, be the only chocolate body in there, and to win and secure her position going to Tokyo is so important to see it again. So Tunde, if we could check out Simone Manuel. This clip courtesy of NBC Sports, y'all. Look at this little chocolate girl swim her ass off in this pool. Go ahead, Tunde, roll that joint.
That young 18-year-old husk is not affected whatsoever by her. That's a great start for my Manuel. 0.68. Husk was really good though at 0.61.
Very tight all the way across the pool. Late for Abby White's with the lead. Right above her is Manuel in 3. Manuel leads to finish first or second. Tori Husk beneath in lane 5 is close. 3 of them across in 3, 4, 5. 6 is tight as well. It's Manuel! Simone Manuel makes Team USA!
Simone Manuel, but really, Chuck, the story that everyone was talking about over the weekend came at the women's track and field trials with a number of super impressive performances. But the one that stole everybody's heart came from the 5'1" sprinter from Dallas, Texas. She's also a LSU Lady Tiger. Her name is Sha'Carri Richardson. Sha'Carri Richardson looked like she was out there channeling Florence Griffith Joyner out that joint. And you guys, what we're going to see is Sha'Carri's 100-meter dash. I mean, she was flying. But Sha'Carri had a very emotional, personal testimony that she gave. She also ran up in the stands and gave her grandmother a big hug. And then she told about some of the personal immense challenges that she has been facing while she has been training for the Tokyo Olympics. Tunde, if we could look at that clip, please.
Who's going to Tokyo? We're about to find out. Women's 100 is underway. JVN Oliver, a fantastic start. She's putting the pressure on Richardson. Here comes Sha'Carri. Richardson's going to Tokyo, 10:87.
Unbelievable. The fact that I am an Olympian, no matter what is said or anything, I am an Olympian. A dream since I've been young. I'm pretty sure everybody's dream as a track athlete. So being happy is an understatement. Being excited, nervous, all of those feelings piled in one. I'm highly blessed and grateful.
We'll talk about the race in a moment, but just the rush to get up the steps to see your family, your grandmother, your dad, your mom, everybody. What is that? What did that mean?
Because my family has kept me grounded. This year has been crazy for me. Going from just last week, losing my biological mother, and I'm still here.
What did you say? You lost your mother?
Yeah, I'm still here. Last week, finding out my biological mother passed away, and still choosing to pursue my dreams, still coming out here, still making sure to make the family that I do still have on this earth proud. And the fact that nobody knows what I go through. Everybody has struggles, and I understand that. But y'all see me on this track, and y'all see the poker face I put on, but nobody but them and my coach know what I go through on a day-to-day. I'm highly grateful for them. Without them, there would be no me. Without my grandmother, that would be no Sha'Carri Richardson. So my family is my everything. My everything is to the day I'm done.
Sha'Carri, unbelievable. We offer our deepest condolences on your loss, as well as our congratulations
Thank you.
on what you accomplished in the midst of all of that pressure.
Thank you.
You okay to say this? See you in Tokyo?
Sha'Carri said hi to her mum on our cameras yesterday. I think she's going to find mum.
I'm not crying. Y'all are crying. That, woo, Chuck, I did cry, actually, the first time I saw that clip of Sha'Carri talking about her losing her mother, and she's saying, y'all don't really know what I go through. Like, you just see this finished product and you see me out there running 100 and 200, but y'all don't really know what's going on behind this. What was your take in that moment and seeing her respond in that way? But also, did you see the sis fly? I mean, good gracious, Chuck, I was concerned whether or not
1087. First of all, how are you going to show that clip and ask me for a reaction? I mean, self-explanatory. How do you follow up? We just saw it. I'm all messed up now, and now you want some extra commentary. There's no commentary to be had. We all saw what it is, and it's beautiful. And it will almost make you forget the beautiful story, the beautiful interview, the beautiful hug afterwards. It almost might you forget it. 1087 is some serious time. That is some serious time. You mentioned FloJo at the outset. Maybe she catches FloJo. Maybe we're seeing a history in progress. But the whole thing is beautiful. But I want to add one thing. What to me was equally as touching in a different way is Allison Felix, because she's 35, which is in like other sports that's like 65. To be 35 years old and to be going to the Olympic trials again for Allison Felix, that's pretty incredible.
also more incredible for Allison is that if she, and I can't remember how many medals short she would be, but she is very much on the threshold of being the most decorated Olympian in track and field ever. And I'm not sure if that's just American, because someone mentioned Carl Lewis, like she could possibly outdo Carl Lewis's medal count. But Allison Phoenix and Chuck, I mean, she said she had an emergency C-section when she had her baby. She said she had preeclampsia really bad and that she almost died. So for her to be at her age, a mom coming back from a very difficult pregnancy and childbirth, especially, Chuck, when we know how much Black women pass away in childbirth, even healthy Black women, even Black women with insurance. I mean, it is a testament to her to be going back to the Olympics, headed to Tokyo, and possibly to get more medals. It's incredible.
Even Serena Williams had a similar story, a near-death experience. And, you know, when we talk about a track and field, we're talking about the difference is in a 0.01 of a second. It's so minor. So to come back after you had a child, even in the most healthy manner, is just incredible. To do it at 35 years old is mind-boggling, given how slight the difference is between even the first place runner, the second place, and the 8th place. We're talking about the most minute of differences. So it's truly incredible.
And when it comes to track and field, Chuck, not to put you on the spot here, but, you know, most people follow track and field as they follow the Olympic cycle, right? Every 4 years, then people get more familiar with who are the exceptional track and field stars. But I always wonder, I mean, first of all, with Sha'Carri Richardson, they were saying that she probably stands the best chance of an American woman getting the medal, winning gold in the 100 and 200 meter. But when it comes to ladies racing and men's racing, I'm like, what's Jamaica got? Because y'all always got to be worried about what Jamaica got. Jamaica always got something in the chamber, especially when it comes to sprinters.
Yeah, I've never understood how Jamaica does it because it's such a small population, but every single person is trying to become a sprinter from Jamaica. They have an incredible record, whether it's the relays, whether it's the men, whether it's the women. So I haven't done the knee-deep research on Jamaica yet. We're going to have to come back when we get closer, but they're always the biggest threat. Because it used to be years ago, American sprinters won everything. That's the way it was every 4 years. And that's changed in the last couple decades.
Sean has, because Usain Bolt was winning everything. Was he winning everything? Or he was winning everything? But, I wanted to bring you on here, Chuck, because, you know, I wanted to get some sports perspective of this Supreme Court decision. You know, it's not very often we see a 9-0 decision handed down from really any court. But here we are with this mostly conservative court. You would assume would have a lot of sympathy towards business and capitalists in general, which the NCAA absolutely is. So I wanted to play this quick clip from Dan Wetzel from Yahoo Sports, who gave us like a quick 1-minute explainer about what this decision means and what it doesn't mean for NCAA athletes who are trying to get their proper slice of the revenue pie from the NCAA in these colleges and universities. So Tunde, if we can look at Dan Wetzel, please, from Yahoo Sports.
On Monday, the Supreme Court ruled unanimously against the NCAA in a case that will have little impact on how college athletics works immediately, but could prove seismic in the years to come. The decision did not address whether college athletes should be paid. It did provide for additional educational expenses, things like laptops, scientific equipment, internships. These are modest changes. Very few people will notice them. However, by ruling decisively against the NCAA's argument about amateurism and rejecting the idea that fans would no longer support these teams if there is any kind of a professional model to it, the NCAA is now open to future litigation. That's what could open the door to a more full-throttle push for pay to play for college athletes. And that could have major impacts on not just their lives, but how budgets work at college athletic departments, competitive balance, even how many teams a university chooses to field. We'll see. That's to come. Today is what might be recalled as a significant defeat for the NCAA, even if the immediate losses are fairly minimal. Dan Wetzel, Yahoo Sports.
Chuck, let me get your take about what this Supreme Court decision actually does for collegiate athletes. I don't even like to call them student athletes because I know that's some bullshit name coined by the NCAA to further hammer home the students' so-called amateur status. So I don't even want to call them student athletes. So the collegiate athletes. What is your take about this Supreme Court decision and what it actually means?
Well, my take is that you call them athlete students, and that students is debatable depending on what school that you go to. But beyond that, this gives me this wonderful opportunity to quote your hero, Brett Kavanaugh, right this second. And Brett Kavanaugh said, the NCAA is not above the law. The NCAA's business model would be flatly illegal in almost any other industry in America. And what's interesting, right, we're so interested in the fact that these conservative justices, all of them, the craziest conservative justices voted for that. But if you actually think about it, conservative justices who are pro-free market capitalism, it would be an easy call for people who are generating billions of dollars who are over 18 to not be seen as amateurs. So it actually makes sense. But we know conservatives often vote against that based off of racism, throughout history. And in this case, as Dan Wetzel said, it's tied to educational compensation, and that could be broad. What educational compensation could mean, but it opens the door for so much more. That's what's really important. So we see these incremental progresses. First, on name, image, and likeness. That means if my jersey is up in a store, can I get money off that? Can I make money off my name? And now you see this breakdown of educational compensation. So the next layer to come is actually straight compensation. I think it's just a matter of time.
I mean, and I feel as though obviously that the compensation for these collegiate athletes is far overdue, Chuck. I mean, what is the difference between an actual plantation system and what NCAA Division I football is or NCAA Division I basketball is? I mean, it is mostly young black boys, young brown boys generating tens of millions, if not hundreds of millions of dollars for these schools annually, right? This is every single year. Yes. And if I'm a lineman at Penn State, you know what I'm saying, and I came from North Philly, and my grandma raised me, and I'm sitting here on this nice college campus surrounded by people with all this extreme wealth, and I'm generating wealth for the school, but the school just tells me, well, you get a free education. You should be satisfied with that. Why is that not satisfactory?
I mean, it's so blatantly non-satisfactory because when you generate revenue, you should be paid for the money that you're generating. And we've only gotten this far because of racism. So let me put a fine point on some of the data that you talked about. Because in 2020, the National Bureau of Economic Research did a study, and they said athletic departments, their revenue doubled in the last 14 years from 4.4 billion, already ridiculous, to 8.5 billion. And when they broke down the further study, 60% of all that NCAA revenue came from what? Football and basketball. The only two sports that black people are dominating. So what black people are doing who are not getting the wages are giving money to the entire athletic department. They're giving money to the coaches like Nick Saban, who makes $9 million a year. And that does not include about 5 other millionaires on his staff. That does not include all these other coaches who are the highest paid public employee in their state. When you look at the states across the nation, like 40 of the 50 states, the highest paid public employee is a football coach or basketball coach. So everybody in the world is getting paid off black players, except the black players and the white players who are also generating that revenue. But I promise you, it was a white sport. This would have been done about 20 years ago.
What? You think lacrosse players don't deserve their proper compensation? What's up with the field hockey? Come on now, Chuck Modiano, racist. No, well, Chuck, let me ask you this. Who has been pro athlete? Who has been pro the kids in this entire saga? Like you mentioned, someone like Nick Saban. I know Nick Saban ain't for the kids, right?
No.
But I mean, is there a college football or college basketball equivalent to like a Greg Popovich or a Steve Nash? Like not Steve Nash, who's the other nigga? Steve Kerr. Like, is there somebody who is in a powerful position of influence that has been on the side of these athletes, these collegiate athletes getting paid?
My answer to that is no. But I want to take a step back on Nick Saban and let you know Nick Saban could have spoken out when Roy Moore was running for election in Alabama and it was razor thin situation and he was quiet. So I have no love for Nick Saban. To your question, my answer is no, a hard no. Why? Because virtually in a way, every college coach is paid off. They're all paid off. So they're getting millions, the top college coaches. So they would have to do more than say a couple words. They would have to renounce their salaries, speak against that very structure. And you're not going to find a college coach who is going to do that. There's too much in it for them and too much money in it for them to see maybe what we've seen with a Greg Popovich, to see what we've seen with a Steve Kerr who has spoken out on the coaching level. So I've been a little disappointed, but it's understandable.
You know, I'm reminded of an incident. Was this a couple of years ago? And it was Odell Beckham Jr. who was in the locker room. I think it was LSU, or was it La Tech?
It was LSU. LSU. He's from LSU.
Right. And he's out there passing out cash, and they hemmed up Odell Beckham Jr. like he did something wrong. I mean, this glaring hypocrisy that the NCAA has really been extremely punitive towards students and even towards the boosters, people, I guess, who have been, sliding the kids some money under the table here and there. But now the NCAA is going to, I would assume, coming forward, hopefully, we'll have to do some sort of profit sharing or revenue sharing. Now, I know there's smart people like yourself who have given some of this some thought. Like, what possibly would that look like? Are we going to see collegiate athletes as freshmen coming to some of these big schools with managers or with, licensing, name, image, and likeness agreements written out for them? Like, what is the future of this? Which is all about, let me just say, I'm not opposed to any of that. It doesn't make no sense for these kids to be in there broke and they're generating all this money. But is that what you see the future of this possibly going if the NCAA's iron grip is further loosened?
It's hard to say, and it's very hard to predict. It's possible, and if it went that way, I'm fine with it. I think you have to look at baseball for a second. Baseball has a very different scenario. Baseball has a minor leagues. So no one ever gets mad at baseball, because if I want to go to college, I go to college to play baseball. If I want to go straight into the minor leagues like Ken Griffey Jr. did, I could do that. Barry Bonds went to Arizona State. You have those choices. And ultimately, the right thing would be the NFL and the NBA to expand their minor league in the NBA's part. They have a little D league, and then create one in the NFL. So you have these types of choices. I think that's even possible. So what's really happening is the NFL and the NBA have been getting free labor, free tutelage, free development all this time. That's worked for them. They save money. It's worked for the NCAA. They've made billions. So what I'm wondering is, at some point, does the NBA in particular have a more robust minor league? Or do those players end up, you'd have the overseas option like LaMelo Ball did and was the third pick in the draft. So it could really go a number of ways. It's hard to predict.
I would really love it if there was some way for collegiate athletes to retroactively sue the NCAA to get some of that revenue from all the jerseys and all the merch and all the video games with this person's likeness and their number, but not their name on it, right? I mean, a lot of this actually is probably very well documented. Has there been any talk that you have heard about former collegiate athletes, whether or not they went pro or no, possibly trying to come at the NCAA and these big universities and schools and these big athletic programs? Because listen, they still made that money, whether or not it was legal for them to pay out the collegiate athletes. Money was still made in that person's name and likeness.
Well, money was made, and the whole, I'm so glad you brought this up, because it sort of reminds me on these new marijuana laws, right? We're saying, okay, it's not enough to legalize marijuana. Every single person who went to prison off these bogus laws that large white run business companies are making billions now, they should be out of jail. Not only that, they should be compensated under like a new Jim Crow type of a compensation. And in some ways, it's similar to that. The case that I think of always is Chris Webber, right? Because Chris Webber, when basically one day he walks in to a store and his jerseys are selling like hotcakes. He's part of the Fab Five of Michigan, and they were making so much money off them.
Chris was number 4. I remember that. Chris was he number 4 or 5?
Chris was number 4.
4, yeah, and Jalen was number 5. I think yes.
Jalen was number 5, right? Yeah, Juwan Howard.
Yes. Jimmy King.
So you had Jimmy King. I was going to drop the other name. Ray is the last one, but you're right. They had the Fab Five. And
that's right.
Chris Webber not only did he get punished retroactively, not only did that happen, but those trips to the finals got suspended. They said the NCAA ruled that those trips to the finals and the Final Four never actually happened. So it had bigger implications. Yeah, that face you're making. Exactly.
I forgot.
So we have to go back in history and look at history at how ridiculous it is, both the team punishment and the punishments that happen to players, and rewrite history, because that never should have happened. And a lot of people at the time were saying that. But if you said that back then, or if even you said this 10 years ago, you were in the deep minority. But we have a more active, not only in this post-Kaepernick era, more active athletes at the professional level, but we're seeing college players speak out like never before in the last few years. And they have those voices, and social media has helped drive this as well.
Absolutely. I mean, I remember last year around the onset of the pandemic, correct me if I'm wrong, it was students, or rather athletes from a football school out in Washington State. I think, didn't they refuse to play or take the field or practice for a bit, and until we got the COVID situation figured out. So yes, I mean, these athlete students are able to assert themselves, or are asserting themselves in ways that they have not previously done. Well, Chuck, I'd be remiss if I let you go without offering some NBA playoff insight. Now, I confess, now that these boys is too young for me to be lusting after, I don't watch the NBA like I used to.
You're so silly.
I mean, come on. Listen, Chuck, I'm a woman. I watch sports to objectify men, period, point blank. I mean, that is that. And I am not ashamed.
That level of honesty.
I'm not ashamed. Now, some of these young boys are fine, but they too young. But anyway, Chuck, I mean, what are we looking like in this NBA playoff scenario? Because, Chuck, I saw an interesting statistic, and I'd like you to chime in on this, is that a majority of the coaches remaining right now in the NBA playoffs are Black, and they are, I believe, a majority of the Black coaches in the NBA. Like, there's not that many Black head coaches in the NBA. Talk to me about what we're seeing here in terms of that, in terms of how the NBA is mostly Black, does not have a lot of Black head coaches, and yet the handful of Black head coaches they do have succeeded tremendously this season.
Right. 3 of the 4 Black coaches in the finals are Black, and the one white coach, the Bucks are probably there despite his coaching, to be quite honest with you. And what's interesting is that for years, I criticized coaching hires in Major League Baseball and NFL all the time. I've been doing it for years, written tons of articles, and I never really touched NBA, because for the most part, NBA did hire a number of Black head coaches, did hire a decent number of Black GMs. And I said, okay, you know what? They're on their way. But it's been in the last 2 or 3 years where you started seeing a decline. And the NBA, which used to hire former players more and more, are starting more and more to hire, quote unquote, analytics people who have studied different data, and they're giving them head coaches spot, and they're opening up greater another pool of white people to really, for the most part, to take over these positions. Because if you study sports, when they hire people outside sports, they're usually not Black. They're usually some white person who graduated from Harvard in a statistics role, as if they can't be part of the team either. And we're seeing that trend in NBA. So it's very important that these 3 Black coaches are showcased, who have done incredible jobs with teams that weren't here a couple of years ago. They've all done incredible jobs. And Nate McMillan with the Hawks, just absolutely incredible. So I'm really happy for him above all.
So who you got? Who's coming out the East? Who's coming out the West? What was this is prediction time, Modiano.
After that whole spiel, after that whole spiel, I'm going to pick the team with the white coach. How about that? Which is despite the white coach. But I feel stupid. It's the Bucks. And the reason I say that, it's almost like the healthiest team is surviving. This is the Adam Silver playoffs. That each team that keeps losing is the more injured team. So you had a hobbled Harden and you had Kyrie out for the Nets, and they barely lose a close one. Mike Conley for the Utah Jazz, who just makes that whole team go. He's out with a bad hamstring. The types of hamstring injuries that happen when you have a condensed schedule in a COVID environment where people wear down. They're not your normal basketball injuries. So we've seen that. Even now, Chris Paul is out on some COVID protocol. Kawhi Leonard's injured. So we're really seeing who's the healthiest team, and that healthiest team might be the Bucks and Giannis leading the way.
Yes, let Giannis lead the way. I know Giannis. That what's his dimensions? Is he like 6'8", 240? Yes.
Well, his shoulders are.
Yes. Okay, Giannis. That's who we rooting for. Giannis Antetokounmpo. Fine as fuck. Woo! Anyway, I'm sorry, Chuck Modiano. Don't let me diminish your.
No, I was really impressed. Can you say his last name again?
Giannis Antetokounmpo.
I love it. I say Giannis all the time, not to butcher his last name.
No, that's how you say it. That's how you put the Maryland accent on it. You got to put the Maryland accent on everything. Antetokounmpo, Giannis. Hey, Chuck, as usual, I certainly appreciate you making some time to come by and chop up something that's actually, not sad. like we usually talk about some heavy shit.
This is the first time we just came and talked about sports, and that's okay. We just talk about sports. We don't have to talk about the uprisings every time. So I enjoyed this.
Yes. And Chuck, of course, we appreciate all that you do. Please, everybody, look for Chuck on social media. Follow him at Twitter, who is recently verified, Chuck Modiano, at Chuck Modi1. Look for the blue check, and you're going to find Chuck. For Chuck ain't no blue check fraud out here. Chuck is real in these streets. So we appreciate all that you do.
Yeah, I had to request, after being banned for 5 days, I had to request one and hopefully not be banned. So that's what that's about.
Of course. Whoa, shit. I mean, we talked about that when that happened to you here on this show, Chuck.
Yeah.
We were very concerned.
So I caved. I never requested one and said, finally, all right, I'm going to request one.
Well, good. I mean, that means hopefully they can't just be deleting your account all willy-nilly.
We'll see. I hope not. If I keep hanging out with you, they might.
Well, possibly. That's a possibility. But you guys, give it up. Chuck Modiano, justice journalist, sports writer for Deadspin, and all around outstanding individual. Chuck, we appreciate all that you do, and thank you so much for coming on the show today.
I appreciate you, Kim. Thanks so much.
All right, everybody. What time is it? It's 6:03. Let's call it a night, boys and girls, shall we? And TG and C's and days. How y'all? I'm trying to get my pronoun shit accurate. So if I say boys and girls and days, are we good to go? Tell me at another time if we are not good to go. I'm not here to hurt no feelings, but as someone said to me recently, it's not about intent, it's about impact. You can intend not to be shitty and still come across as being very shitty. So think about that. I just fucked y'all up. Anyway, guys, we're going to push off. Don't forget to join me tomorrow morning for the Remix Morning Show over on Black Power Media. Go over to the Black Power Media channel and hit subscribe. Remix Morning Show starts at 8 a.m. Eastern Time. You can join me, Kalanji Changa, Dr. Jared Ball, Kamal Franklin, the Ear Doctor, Dr. Iyele, sometimes Dr. CBS and Dr. Layla Brown. There was a lot of doctors on that joint. Sometimes I feel a bit out of place because it is a bunch of the smarties, but that they let me come on there and not be super smart, and I appreciate that. No, I'm just kidding. I got undisciplined thoughts. You feel me? My intellect is high. My scholarly aptitude is not so high. And you guys, just a final reminder. Today was the homegoing service for Abdus Lukman. Of course, Sister Jackie Lukman remains in our thoughts and in our prayers. And if you go to my Twitter page, you can either go to the show Twitter page at Burn It Down KB or my personal Twitter page at Kim Brown Live. If you want to support the Lukmans in this very tragic time, I believe Brother Abdus's passing was extremely sudden. There is a GoFundMe available for you to send some material support to Jackie Lukman and the family of Abdus Lukman. So thank you guys again. We will see y'all tomorrow morning for Black Power Media, 8 a.m. for the Remix Morning Show. I will see all my burners. Yes, I'm a fire familia. Here, Friday, bitch. Be on time, goddammit. I love y'all. You guys are great. And we also going to do an AMA on Friday also. Wait, someone dropped us some bread. Kev Z 24/7. Salute, my brother. Thank you very much for that. Support independent media. On that note, guys, we are out. On behalf of Jean-Pierre, Mali, and Tunde, I am Kim Brown. We have been burning it down. You have been a part. That means y'all in it too. Y'all are accomplices after the fact. Just deal with it. We'll see y'all on Friday, y'all. Thank y'all for coming out. See y'all later. Bye-bye.